Welcome back, everyone, to Enter the Arena, the studio session brought to you by Pure Sports. So today we are in conversation with Karin and Ifama, the very own co-owners of the Ceylon Paddle League. So as you know, ladies and gentlemen, this will be taking place from the 18th to the 21st of June at the CRNFC Paddle House. So this is a little bit of the background. So this year we are encountering its second session. So welcome, Karin and Ifama, to the show.
Thank you.
So to start things off with, to everyone who's watching, who is Karin and Ifam, and how did you two get together in building up sports leagues?
Look, I think both of us would agree this wasn't the master plan.
Yeah.
We started out building events through event history. That's how it all started. And over the years, we've worked on some incredible projects. But somewhere along the way, I think we realized that there was a very recurring problem. And that was that we were both terrible at sitting still. And we always are looking for the next challenge. So what started, I think, as creating events suddenly turned into bigger questions. And instead of helping someone else build a property, we wanted to build something that was ours.
Yeah, I think 6 years ago, or 7 now, when we started off event history, the whole idea was to make sure that we have a complete ecosystem in delivering exceptional experiential events.
Yeah.
Which we thought was lacking in Sri Lanka. So just to fill the void, we started doing a few projects differently. And then also what we realized is there is a lot of commercial brands who is trying to get themselves involved in events, but the events structure and the system wasn't there. So one day Karin walked up to the office and said, you know what, Ifam, I want to do a paddle league. So we actually said, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. 2 weeks later, we announced it. No franchise, no sponsor. Yeah. We said, let's announce it. I think 18 hours later, we sold 6 franchises. 24 hours later, we sold 8 franchises. Currently, we have another 6 franchises who wants to buy in. Sponsors started to come in. So I think at the moment, the entire ecosystem is built. And now we have created a property. We have created the manual, the playbook, like what we want to call it, and the rest is what's happening now.
So just like you all correctly mentioned, Event History started as an events company, but now you're running sports properties, leagues and events and across multiple sports. Did you see you two in that direction?
Absolutely not. Before it even starts, absolutely not.
Yeah.
If you told me 6 years ago or 7 years ago that we'd be sitting here doing a studio session for a league that was ours, I'd have laughed at you.
No, but we always had a passion for sport.
No, we loved creating experiences. We loved, I think even our tagline for event history was transforming experiences, you know? But I think the vehicle that we were sitting in just changed over time.
Yeah, because I think, take us, Karin and I have known each other for 14 years. So we started at Red Bull. We got to know each other at Red Bull. So I think that gave us the foundation to do what we're doing right now. You know, we had the opportunity to drive a Formula One car around the streets of Colombo and in the city of Galle. We were able to fly planes on top of Sigiriya and on the beaches of Unawatuna. We were able to get the ex-fighters, the FMX riders to jump over the Independence Square and do shows. So that pretty much inspired us to basically start doing different things in Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka was ready for it.
No, I think the more we worked in sport, and we have quite a history now of working within the sports, we realized that there was an opportunity. We realized that we could help through event history, create those platforms, tell those stories, and that's what we felt was missing, right? The storytelling angle. And we felt that we were bringing these communities together. So no, it wasn't the original plan, but looking back now, I think it was a natural evolution of where it was going to happen.
Yeah, I think also from the experience of what we had, I think this was meant to be, I would say, because it wasn't a part of the plan, but now it has just become the plan.
Yeah.
So the more you speak about it, it's very obvious that sports has become a major part of your business. So was there like a specific point where you realized, okay, sports is going to be the major part of your business?
Well,
There were a few moments.
when we started, we didn't, because Sri Lanka does not have the sports landscape, let's be honest about it. Sri Lanka does not have the land. You take out cricket, the national cricket, you take it out. You take out school rugby out, we don't have sports. You know, we do have sports across schools and clubs, and we do have the structure, but do we have properties in sports? Now, this is where we are trying to bridge the gap. So I think right now, it has become a big part of event history. There's a lot more things in the pipeline, but coming back to paddle was the firstborn.
Yeah, that's the baby that's not growing.
And we both played, and we were part of the paddle from its first started. I think before the courts were ready, before the roofs came out, we went and played paddle. A big shout out to
Shamal
and Rajiv for bringing the sport to Sri Lanka. But we were there. I think we were probably, proudly, I would say we were the top 10 people to play paddle in Sri Lanka. But now the community has grown, sponsors are coming into it. So the entire ecosystem is growing. So I think the future for paddle in Sri Lanka and the paddle league looks really good. I think already there is a lot of discussion whether we want to grow the paddle league next year. There are sponsors talking to us. There are different franchises talking to us. There are international federations talking to us. So overall, I think this, and mind you, this is only the second year.
Yeah. So now, as you talk about it, you're on to bigger things, right? So in everything, there's a point of realization that, okay, we might be actually on to something, right? So what was that point of realization that, okay, we are really on to something?
I think it was the moment, like Ifam said, last year when we did it for the first time, we did our press conference with no sponsors, with no signed franchises. Within a day, within the 24 hours after that press con, we had sponsors calling, and we had sold 8 franchises. And that's when we looked at each other and went, yep, there's something here.
Something's working here.
But to be honest, I think it's not just me and Karin. We have a Ishara, who's our other partner, who is not here. But we have a team of about 16 people working on this project. But we don't think it's work for us because we laugh. There's so much enjoyment in terms of what we're doing. Yes, there are the stressful
There is
moments.
not always laughing, just letting anyone who thinks they want to get into the leagues. It's not always laughter.
But we have an incredible team who allows us to put these things together. So a big shout out to them.
Yeah.
An incredible team.
Big shout out to Ishara. He should be sitting here, but he's not, unfortunately, today. But yeah, you're missed, Ishara, if you're watching.
All right, amazing. So now I will turn my direction towards Karin directly. So you're the founder of Event History and the co-owner of both Event History Sports as well as Sri Lanka Paddle League. So looking back, did you see yourself ever in this journey of sports ownership and these league developments?
Like I said, not at all. Look, I would have said producing events, I'd have said creating experiences for people, I'd have said bringing brands together, connecting them. I'd have said those were things that was top of my mind and where I wanted to go when we started Event History. But sport has a way of pulling you in. I've played it for my whole life in different sports. So it does. It also creates communities. I think it creates platforms, and it's a very easy way for kind of brands, for athletes to kind of get noticed. And I think the more we worked on events and the more we worked within that, we realized that there were these opportunities to build things that were, let's be honest.
But also sports has given us the opportunity to start benchmarking a lot of things. Because sports production and doing an event is pretty much the same thing. But in terms of raising the standards, in terms of bringing the experiential, in terms of making sure the sponsor is properly integrated with what you're trying to do. we make sure that the sponsor has the right fit to the event and to
Yeah.
the audience that we are trying to communicate this to. So which means it's always value additions. It's
Win-win for both parties.
It's for both parties. See, the way we look at it is for a franchise model to work, it's, the franchise needs to benefit, then the sponsors need to benefit, and it's only then when the league benefits.
Yeah.
If you put the league before the franchise and the partners, then there's nothing. But beyond all the franchise and everything, it's the community. So we do this for the community, upliftment of the community. So that's why we continue to use this word, the ecosystem. So we've built this entire ecosystem together, and it's well tied in at the moment. So it's a matter of just growing it further and further. And
Before Ifam tells you how great this all is, no, it wasn't the original plan. But you know what? It's become a huge part of our journey.
Yes. So at what point did you realize that you actually want to get involved in building these sports properties rather than simply servicing them?
Look, I think we spent a few years, right, helping other people build events, other people realize their vision. And you walk away once it's over. And I think we started asking ourselves, look, what if we created something that we could grow year on year? We know what works. We know, the positives, the negatives. So I think that was kind of the start to everything. And also, I think it was probably the first time, I think Sri Lanka Paddle League was the first time, I think Ifam, Ishara, myself, we thought, let's stop waiting for someone else to build a platform. Let's do it ourselves.
But I think just adding on to what Karin said, takes us back to post-COVID. We invested money in terms of doing a total sports landscape research in Sri Lanka with a reputed research agency, international agency. So there was a lot of findings that we found that sport was the first mover out in terms of marketing, in terms of activity, in terms of everything post-COVID. So whilst the world was moving far ahead using sports marketing, we were lagging behind. So this was always in the back of our minds when we were doing it, till one day she walked in and said, listen, I want to do a paddle league. And then it was just me and Ishara looked at her and said, okay, let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So it looks like the event history has obviously been around for a while, and you have worked with some of the country's biggest sporting events. But this time with Sri Lanka Paddle League, of course, it is different because you guys actually own this. So how does it differentiate the approach you have towards it?
Look, it's very different when you're an agency doing a job for someone, right? Because yes, you want to do it, you want to make it successful, but once your job is done, you're done. As an owner of the league, you're thinking of success, but you're also thinking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, where is it going to grow? And I think that's every decision that you make for this is now personal.
And you're not tied down by budget.
And you're not, well, you see, we have Ifam, who also considers himself the finance man in our company, and he either controls the budget or he lets it go.
No, I think if you're building something, you can't be, you can't be held back by finances. You're building something. So.
Yeah. With all the experiences that you guys have been through working with sports and all that, so you work very closely with these very own franchise owners, sponsors, broadcasters, and athletes, right? So what have you learned about the business of sport through dealing with all of these parties?
I think sports, this is something not new. Sports is something that connects people. Sports is something that unites people. Sports is that gives you an opportunity, it gives you awareness. And sports is the best vehicle for any brand out there who's looking at reaching out to a consumer base. Sports is the best vehicle.
I think we underestimate Sri Lankan sport, because everyone talks about cricket, rightly so. Everyone talks about rugby, rightly so. But there are so many sports in this country that's being played, passionate athletes, communities, fans around them that are not being kind of tapped into. And I think all these sports, especially with paddle, it needed the platform, it needed the visibility, and I think the league was the perfect vehicle for it. So
yeah, absolutely. I think completely agree with you.
How did now a lot of franchise owners, sponsors have been investing in this, right? So some might not have played paddle, or some not even sports at all, right? They must have not been involved. So how did the whole convincing part take place?
Honestly, I feel like it was the easiest thing, was also the hardest thing, because The easy part was getting people excited. The easy part was telling people about our vision and selling the story. But I think the harder part was convincing the people who had never invested in paddle, and again, like you said, never invested in sport before, to, apart from the excitement, now really get into it. And I think there was hesitation, but at the same time, you know.
But it was a challenge. We were doing it for the first time.
There was no blueprint.
There was no blueprint. We had an idea. We got 8 owners to believe in this idea. They came on board. And we were also learning things on the go. Are we still learning? Absolutely. We are still learning. There's a long way to go in what we're doing. But we have a good group of owners. I think that's what I said at the beginning. I think the success of the league so far has been the 8 franchises who have been supporting it and all the partners. For example, I think we are currently at the PO Sports Studio. Big shout out to them. We had one meeting with the management of PO Sports. And next day they were like, you know what? We are going to dedicate 12 hours into 3 days of air time for the league, for a sport that has not been in Sri Lanka for over 15 months. Now that is the faith that they put in. So just like that, I think our sponsors like, you know, Standard Chartered, Hutch, Red Bull, who has always been with us, SNH, Wilson. So we're basically built this entire ecosystem at the moment. They are the players, the sponsors, the brands, the franchises, everyone is in it together. So now it's a matter of just taking it. And yes, we have to improve. Are we going to face more hurdles in the future? Yes, we will. But I think currently what we're doing is we're facing it together. So there are times where we have taken input from the franchises. There are times we've taken input from the sponsors, but we're working it together.
All right, amazing. So we are still in this conversation and it is only getting interesting. But right now, we'll go for a short commercial break and we'll be right back. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You are watching Enter the Arena, the studio session brought to you by Pure Sports. So today we are in conversation with the co-owners, Ifam and Karim. So this question goes to Ifam directly. So looking back at season 2, the league has attracted, of course, major brands. So what do you think the sponsors are seeing in SLPL that actually makes them want to get involved?
Well, I think one is the expansion of the sports globally. That is, I think, the number one, and then it's trickled down into the growth of the sport in Sri Lanka. But most importantly, I think in season 1, in terms of the level of the league production, in terms of what we did in terms from TV to branding to player engagement to spectator engagement to the ticketing aspect to the merchandising aspect, I think we built a product that has risen up in value and sponsors see it. And this is only going to go up. And I think that has been the fundamental pull factor for all these big brands to come in. And also we feel that there are limited properties in Sri Lanka for certain of these brands to come and directly engage with their consumer base. So I think paddle helped us to bridge that gap as well. So I think that's the reason.
So we often hear about player experience, like you said, the spectator experience, all of that. So how much thought goes into creating the values for these sponsors that you just mentioned about?
A lot. We pretty much, I think...
It's well curated.
Well curated. I think when the league comes to an end on the 21st of June, by the 29th of June, we are planning for the 3rd season. Because you can't just do a league in 60 days. You need a minimum of 5 to 6 months of planning in terms of putting this together. So for example, in terms of every brand, we study that brand, we see what kind of marketing they do, we look at their audience, we see that plan, where does it fit into what we are doing, to which audience are we talking about, whether it's on digital, whether it's on OH, whether it's on TV, whether it's on ground. So each brand will have 4 different plans in terms of engaging with the audience.
I think how we like to do it, especially when in office, it's like reading a book. You know, everything needs to fit into these chapters. And I think even for someone sitting on this side who's maybe not playing the sport, but you're coming to watch the sport, or you're an athlete who's playing the sport, or you're an owner, you all need to read the same story. Because if you're not and you're reading different books, then nothing is going to come together. And I think that's where what we've kind of put our hand up and said, look, I think we've done this really well, not to tap ourselves on the back, but with the Paddle League, it is one nice book.
But we are saying that I think one thing that myself, Karina and Ishara took a firm decision at the beginning is we will not engage with a partner who would not be a right fit to what we are trying to build. So that's what I went back to it. Sometimes it's not always about the money. It's about building a brand and building a property that will gradually be a scalable model or a scalable property. So we are very focused in terms, we sit with individual marketing teams of each brand. So myself, Karin and Ishara individually we brainstorm, we do a document, and then we say this is how your brand is going to fit into this project across the multiple channels. So there is a lot of thought process that goes into it. I think sometimes you should see our event calendars. You will see brand A, brand B, brand C, then we will have to leave the office. So it's a hectic thing, but it's a very satisfactory. You know, end of the day, there's a lot of satisfaction when you get positive feedback from the brands, from the franchisers, from the players involved. So I think that's what we do it for.
Correct. So speaking of planning and execution, you have been part of a lot of organizing when it comes to other sports. But how does Sri Lanka Paddle League stand out from all of these in terms of the planning and execution part?
Well, any event we do, we basically...
I would say it's the same planning.
The planning process
workload.
is the same. I think the passion, the planning, the execution, you know, we make sure that we do everything to the highest possible standard. You know, sometimes we challenge our clients, we fight with our client, we argue with our client, but then, you know, we want to make sure that whatever we do it right. The difference with the Paddle League is basically there is no, you know, we can do what we want. You know, there is no saying, oh, you know, you can't do this. We will do it. We try a lot of things. We take a lot of risks. You know, from whether it's broadcast to whether it's on-ground branding to play experience to what we want to do with our brand. So we take a lot of risks and we launch a lot of products, you know, from building apps to building scoring to, so across the board, everything is built in-house. The player's app is built in-house. The live scoring is built in-house. The entire graphics of broadcast is done in-house. The entire experience on TV. So we basically take a lot more risk because it's our project and we try a lot more things that's the experience that we get from it.
So, yes, so the fans might just see the matches, the broadcast, and of course the social media content. Now, this question goes to both of our co-founders. What is something that they'll never imagine that goes behind the scenes?
The fights between me and Karin. And when Ishara sits on the corner and then we're like, Ishara, what do you think? He's like, I don't know, both of you. And then I think sometimes, you know, we walk away from the boardroom and then we say we reconvene. But
you'd never realize on the days of the league, everyone is so happy and there's so much laughter and it's high fives all across the board. But yeah, till it gets to that day, I think there's a lot of tension.
The one thing that we always say to each other is, if you are stressed and panicked on the day of the event, your pre-planning has been an absolute disaster.
Exactly. Correct.
If you are able to sit, laugh, relax, engage, network during the event, that means your pre-planning has been absolutely perfect.
I mean, we tell everyone, come to the league. You'll see if I'm relaxed, sitting, networking. You'll also see me stressed, running around. So it's two very different people, but
no,
that's
but in
the
terms
roles.
of the event production, but then there's the other aspect of it when you're doing the marketing, the digital, which she overlooks and runs the whole operation of it. So that's a more on the event, but day by day you have to keep updating it and changing it. But overall, even what she does, you know, there's a blueprint to it. You know, she's not going to come on the day of the league and say, oh, you know what, every piece of content, what time it's being posted, how it's being posted.
It's been planned.
It's been planned. There is an absolute blueprint we have that we know exactly when we go for the event. These will be the stories. the team is so well briefed in terms of who is doing what, in terms of who will take a break at what time the other one's going to come down. So there's a entire rundown, I think, which would be a bundle of paper this much that we all go through. But now we have automated everything, so everything's online. So you type someone's name in, that person tasks go to him on the internal app that we have. So I think the pre-planning is the most important thing that we spend a lot of time doing. So you'll see me and Karin around the table, sometimes agreeing, disagreeing, but end of the day, we always have a good laugh after the event. You know?
So speaking of this whole pre-planning aspect, right? So what is the biggest lesson you learned from season 1 as you approach season 2?
Well, I'm going to let you take this one.
I think the biggest lesson that we learned, don't get me wrong, season 1, in the eyes of everyone, it was the most perfect event. But what we have learned from season 1 to season 2 is in terms of how we manage franchises, how we make it more, how we create more opportunities for franchisers to start getting more brands and sponsors involved within their franchise. So that is to make the franchisers more profitable. So we are very accommodative, we are very supportive in that. Last year we had like certain rules which we didn't want to move again, but this year we've opened up a lot more, so which gives the franchises. And by looking at the franchise jerseys now, I think the franchises have more sponsors than the league.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, which we are very happy for the franchises, you know. So this is something that again we are pushing with the franchises to do, is to invest in their marketing, invest in their promotions, make sure that their franchise have a return, make sure the players
Yeah, I
are
think the
better.
more the story the franchise has, the better the league looks. So where we really want the franchiser to go gung-ho with their marketing, because we get to then, you know, it's almost like we piggyback off what they do and they piggyback off what we do. So
Win-win for both
yeah,
parties.
win-win for both sides.
So now if someone approaches event history tomorrow with a completely new sport and asks you to build a league around it, what's the first thing that you guys would do?
I would say let's play the sport. I would be like, I need to play to
That is
understand.
coming because she loves
Major
her
sports
sport.
person.
She loves
Yeah,
her
yeah.
sport. But the first thing I will tell anyone who comes, who wants to do a league or a sport or anything, don't do it if you have ulterior motives. Don't do it if you are not committed and passionate about what you want to do. Don't do it if you don't have a long-term plan to it. Don't mask saying that, oh, I want to do this for the betterment of your sport because you have other ulterior motives. It just wouldn't work.
I think
So
this
that's it.
applies to anything,
Yeah.
right? Right. So with that, we are approaching the Founders Fun segment. Now, this is for both of you. Simple answers, right? So I'll start off with who actually came up with the idea of SLPL?
Karin.
Who takes the longest to make a decision?
Karin.
Who is most
No,
likely?
wait, gotta stop you there. It's not me.
Yeah.
It's actually Farm, because he wants a collective decision, and collectives don't
Collective.
always happen in our office. So.
Yeah, right. So who's most likely to say, don't worry, we'll figure it out with absolutely no plan?
Ishara.
I think that's why he's not here at the moment.
So who checks their phone the most during event week?
Ifam.
Because I work on my phone.
Okay.
Swiftly moving on.
Yes. Who is most likely to create extra work for everyone else?
Ifam.
Who is most likely to pitch a new league while still running another?
Oof. That could be either Ifam or me.
You take
Could go either
both
way.
of them,
Yeah, I think.
It could go.
Which founder who survived longest if event history had to run an event with no phone, no laptop, no internet?
Definitely not Ifam.
Not Ifa.
Not
Oh,
Ifam.
100%.
Yeah.
Who do you think will survive?
Maybe me. I quite like the paper and pen.
You literally have a tab.
Yeah, no, while I have a tab in my lap, but
No, but Ishara also can't, right? Because
yeah, Ishara's come. But I
Ishara
think it would
doesn't
just
carry
be
a
me.
paper pen. Ishara doesn't carry anything.
Yeah.
Anything, okay.
So I think me. Put my hand up there.
So, okay, during an event week, who becomes the biggest headache?
Ifam.
Which founder is most likely to say, let's make it bigger without thinking about the consequences
Ifam.
of the actions?
Ifam.
Do you have any comment?
No,
You okay? All right, I'll leave it there. Yeah. So you've built leagues together, the events and sports properties, all of it together, right? Looking ahead, where do you want event history sports to be in the next 5 years?
honestly, I think we both answered it. We want to be known as
The sportsman.
the sports company in Sri Lanka that built properties that benefited the sport, brands, and the players. And then, most importantly, all these properties will self-stand financially without the support of individuals, but with self-standing with the support of brands and the ecosystem of players and the sporting community.
Nothing else to say.
All right, amazing. So with that, we wrap up our session here at Enter the Arena, the studio session brought to you by Pure Sports. Before we wrap up, I would like to wish all the very best of luck for all of our players, and thank you very much, Karin and Ifama, for being part of our conversation. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you back in our next session.